pressure, Paige, no pressure.
Good evening. Apologize for running a little late this evening. Our closed session lasted a little longer than we expected, so thank you for your patience. With it being 6:45, I call the Francis Howell School District Board of Education meeting to order. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, which this evening will be led by Francis Howell North National Board Certified Teacher, Danny Wilkinson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to start our meeting this evening with a moment of silence in memory of Haley York, a first grader that we lost from Fairmount Elementary. So please join me in the moment of silence. Thank you. Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for February 20th, 2020 as presented.
So second.
Motion made by Mrs. Stiglitz, seconded by Mrs. Walker. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is recognitions. Mr. Dykeman.
Thank you, Mrs. Coe. Francis Howell congratulates Francis Howell North English Language Arts teacher Janie Wilkins, who has renewed her national board certification, the highest credential in the teaching profession. Francis Howell now has 59 teachers who have achieved this distinction. Janie, want to come on up, please? Jenny has spent her entire 18-year career at Francis Howell North, teaching primarily English 2, creative writing, AP Language, and composition. She has served as a PLC leader and curriculum writer, and has sponsored the Student Council, the Creative Writing Club, and even the Hacky Sack Club. That's versatility. National Board certified teachers are highly accomplished educators who meet high and rigorous standards. The certification through the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards is a voluntary process in which teachers work to advance the quality of teaching and learning. Like board certified doctors and accountants, teachers who achieve National Board certification have met stringent standards through intensive study, expert evaluation, self-assessment, and peer review. Congratulations, Jenny. Come on up, Wilkins family.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. And hand off the camera, and we'll get a picture for you, too. Take off your coat.
One more. Thank you.
Congratulations.
got a couple.
My turn. So since we last met, we actually missed our Board Appreciation Week, and we wanted to celebrate you tonight. So a few things I wanted to say. Our district benefits every day from the dedication and countless hours devoted by our board. Our board are public servants who are elected by local constituents and do not receive any compensation for their tireless efforts. This group attends board meetings, retreats, conferences, interviews, school events, kickoff, graduation, and many other occasions, sometimes even forfeiting their day's pay to support our district. On top of all that, our board is put in many difficult positions and makes many tough decisions. The job can be thankless and exhausting, but I want you to know your work is appreciated. While there isn't always 100% agreement on every issue, 100% of our board members have the interest of our district and our students in their hearts. The board should be proud of the work it's doing and the relationships they have built. On behalf of the students and staff, I want to recognize the vital role you play and the sacrifices you make for the education of our children. So we have for you some certificates sent from MSBA, as well as a little trinket of our appreciation. And so,
Are we gonna do a photo op?
I think we are. Yep. So, you come down, get your certificate and trinket, and then we'll take a picture maybe on this side of the dais.
Perfect. Mr. Nate, you want to the right?
I will get there. You go.
I like that there.
Oh, the tables have turned.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hendricks-Harris, for the kind words. Much appreciated. Next, we roll into our comments area. FHEA, ESPA. All right, next on our agenda is our consent agenda. Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Walker, seconded by Mr. Lang. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is our academic high target. And I'm going to turn that over this evening to Dr. Lammers.
Thank you, Board of Education, Cabinet, and everybody in attendance. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Kate McGuire, who's brought colleagues from the other two buildings and some students with her tonight, here to talk about the pathways to teaching courses that we offer in our 3 high schools.
Good evening. Like Dr. Lambert said, my name is Catherine McGuire, and I teach at Francis Howell Central High School, and I have the pleasure of being able to teach this class. I am joined by the other 2 teachers within the district, Lori Rupp from Francis Howell High School and Sarah White from Francis Howell North High School, and then we have 3 students which we will introduce to you in a little bit. The program was conceived in 2015, 2016. During these first couple of years,
we kind of started figuring out what the needs of the program were, where we needed to go with it, how to make it better for our students, and that's exactly what we did. After that first year, we turned it into a foundations and an internship class, which means the first semester runs for 1 hour of the day, and second semester runs as a 2-hour block, typically your last 2 hours of the day, for our internship piece. When that happens, our students actually leave campus, they're placed with a mentor teacher, and they complete second semester with and alongside that mentor teacher, working with their students within their class. We've maintained steady enrollment. We have provided a variety of different opportunities for our students within the classroom and outside the classroom. Some of those things are dual credit, honors points. They're able to work at Vacation Station prior to being graduated from high school, as long as they have approval and they still have to go through the interview process and things of that nature. While we do not have hard data, that's one of the things that we're trying to acquire right now. We would assume that 60 to 70% of our students that complete the Pathways to Teaching program actually pursue an education degree. Our program is directly tied to college and career readiness, and it supports the district and state Grow Your Own Teacher initiative. As members of the Francis Howell School District Grow Your Own Teachers program, we're researching and exploring more opportunities for our current and future students. Teaching and education, there's a growing need for high quality teachers. Not only is there a need for those teachers, there's a need to retain those teachers. And that is really our goal, is to give students the stepping stone to find out if this is what they want to do, and if it is or is not, they'll be able to solidify that choice prior to leaving high school. Providing students with hands-on field experience is the most beneficial thing that we can do for our students that are wanting to enter this field, because it would really be a bummer to go to college, major in education, get to student teaching and realize, okay, this is not for me, because then you're kind of stuck. Our students, prior to leaving that internship piece, have over 110 hours within the field, and they're gonna know, like, is this for me, or should I pursue something else? Since conception, all 3 high schools are implementing and providing students with high quality and engaging classroom and internship components. Our students complete over 110 hours. In addition to that, our students earn or have the ability to earn 1.5 honors points, dual credit through either UCM or UMSL. They also have the ability of earning a seal on their transcript, and the Vacation Station employment, which I've already talked about. Application of material and skill is the highest form of learning. We all know that, and our students are engaged in the application of critical thinking skills on a daily basis. In addition, our students are continually working on soft skills, teamwork, and professional interaction with others, which is needed in any job, not just education. We're continuing to research and develop for the benefit of our students, and we are also continuing to deliver co-curricular experiences with Educators Rising. Simply put, our students and students in general deserve the best possible education that they can receive. And providing students with that best possible education starts with hiring and retaining the best possible teachers. Early hands-on experience and application of information will allow students to make informed decisions on whether or not this is what they want to do with their life. Our students are stretched academically. They're required to think outside the box, create and design, build relationships, network, collaborate, and work as functional team members. They also have to accept constructive criticism, and they must show the ability to take the initiative and accept responsibility. And now we have 3 speakers, one from each high school. First, we'll start with Paige Mooney from Francis Howell North.
Hi, I am Paige Mooney, and I'm currently a senior at Francis Howell North High School. This is my 2nd year in Pathways to Teaching. Last year I began in a 1st grade classroom, and this year I am in a 4th grade classroom, which is a big difference, but I've loved every single second that I've been in both of those classrooms. Not only do I get so much hands-on experience when I'm in that classroom, I now feel so confident and solidified in having a future in education, and I never would have been able to receive that without Pathways to Teaching. So I feel very lucky for the time that I've had in this class. Thank you.
Hermione Redden from Francis Howell Central High School.
So Pathways to Teaching has been beneficial to me in many ways. For the past 2 years, I have received one-on-one mentorship and the ability to apply my learning in both classroom and small group environments. This course has provided me with knowledge, skills, and positive work environment. Pathways has given me a chance to learn what it truly means to be a teacher. In my opinion, student success is directly tied to teachers. The hard work, dedication, and most importantly, the happiness it provides me is something that I look forward to every day. I enjoy the relationships that I have built with my students and mentors. I have the ability to see my students learning, engaged, and in positive environments, all while getting information that's beneficial to me in the long run. This class can take people so far. Pathways provide students with much needed, useful, and practical information. Ms. McGuire encourages us to think about becoming the future of education. I've learned how to utilize instructional strategies, manage a classroom, network, and most importantly, build positive relationships with students and professionals. This is the best class I have ever taken.
And Keegan O'Donnell from Francis Howell High School.
Hi, my name is Keegan O'Donnell, and there is not enough good things that I could say about this course. It has given me so many opportunities to meet so many people. I was able to make connections with students and realize how much I love teaching. And then on top of that also, it's also given me the chance to go to state in March and compete in Ed Rising, which is similar to DECA and FBLA, but it is definitely growing, and I'm so excited for that. But I'm just incredibly happy that I was able to take this course in high school, not only as a high school course, but it is college credit on top of that. So I am so happy I'm going into college knowing that this is what I want to do, and I have 0 second thoughts about it.
Thank you for giving us the time to come and speak about this amazing program that we are offering. Does anybody have any questions for the teachers and or the students involved within the program?
Or do you have questions?
I have a couple, but go ahead, Mr. Wayne.
I'd like to know where the young ladies are placed at this time, what level?
These specific students?
Not you, I know where you're at.
I can only speak for my particular students that I have up here, which is Gabby and Armani. Gabby is in Warren Elementary, and she floats between a 5th grade classroom and some 2nd grade classrooms. And then Armani is currently at Central Elementary, and she's working with the counseling department there.
Wow, okay, thank you.
So that's another thing, our students are not just within like standard classrooms. They can work within the counseling, SLP, OT, those type of things. There's lots of different avenues that they can go into.
And the other two ladies are?
So I am not in the internship this year because I'm dual enrolling as a senior, but last year I was in a 2nd grade classroom at Independence Elementary.
Great.
Last year, I was at Becky David Elementary in a 1st grade classroom, and this year I'm at Henderson Elementary in a 4th grade classroom.
Good to hear. And do you still do high school cadets? Way back when I was a teacher at Henderson, I had cadets quite a bit.
So this program has taken over this program.
Okay.
It's more thorough, it's more in-depth, it requires more, but what used to be cadet teaching is what currently is now called Pathways to Teaching. We often refer to them as our cadets,
Sure.
kind of just to use the same language, but similar.
Thank you.
But that,
Thanks.
All right, so I am very excited about this program, and I have a couple questions about it. So I think you started to answer it before I even asked. So it's not just classroom only.
Correct.
Do they, the students that do choose the classroom side of it, are they also involved in like curriculum development or PLCs? Do they get exposure to any?
they do not necessarily sit in on teachers' PLCs. However, many of our students may come into, for example, let's say they should arrive no later and be ready to go no later than 12:45. With that being said, they might come in on the tail end or plan of a teacher's time. Therefore, they do sit in on that. They help, they watch, plan, things of that nature. If a teacher does not feel comfortable with them sitting in on that, or they feel like it's not as beneficial, they may move to another grade level. For example, that's what Gabby's doing. She works with 2 different grade levels. So that really depends on what the teacher preferences, but a lot of times they will sit in with them on that plan time. They will watch what's going on during that time. They will watch that collaboration piece.
Excellent, excellent.
The other piece to that, as students are learning what a professional learning community looks like, we have the students come back to us on Wednesdays, so they go out in the field Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And on Wednesdays, we use that class time to collaborate. They collaborate with each other, with like grade levels and where they're placed, so they're learning that concept too.
Good, excellent. The other question I had was around the teachers that are selected for the mentoring. How do you determine which teachers fit that role best?
I personally, and I think that all 3 schools are doing it the same, I shoot out a mass email to our feeder schools. We try to stick within our feeder schools, and I first ask for volunteers. If I'm not getting the volunteers I need, oftentimes I typically have a working relationship with one of the principals at that building, and I will send them a personal email and say, hey, I'm looking for a 2nd grade teacher in your building. I really need one. Who can you give me some names to? Then I'll kind of start that route. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes the student really wants a particular school, but there's not a grade level there that they want to work with. So then they have to be flexible. They either have to choose a different grade level or they have to choose a different school. But we do offer them those opportunities. It can be hard for certain subject areas to find mentor teachers just due to the time. But oftentimes we have more mentors wanting to mentor than we have students to fulfill. It just seems that it's higher in specific areas than others. And that's one of our Grow Your Own program components, is really recruiting and retaining high quality mentors, because that is vital to this program.
Agree, very much, and that's why I wanted to ask that question. And I think along with that, it's so important to our district, the numbers of teachers that were students here within the district that return. And it's very important to our community, so I'm really excited about the program.
Thank you very much.
Board, any other questions? Can I make a couple, go ahead, Jen.
I would like, how many total students do you have enrolled in the program?
Our numbers are not always the same from first semester to second semester. Some students take the foundations piece. They may graduate early. They may realize just from being there that this is not for them. So I would say if I had to average, probably about 25 from each high school. So that's about 75 students. Sometimes it's more than that. My largest class size one year was like 36. So, and the block piece doesn't change. So that's still 36 kids to follow around for 2 hours. So that doesn't change. But we really are focused on recruiting and maintaining students who are willing to put forth that work and that effort, and really do all the due diligence that goes into teaching and educating. So sometimes weeding some of those kids out, if that's not really the best term to use, but sometimes that's necessary because they're not gonna want to do all the work that goes into second semester.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, board, any other questions or comments?
I just want to make a few comments. You know that I'm going to work at strategic planning as much as I can. I just want to point out how much this class aligns to our strategic plan. So thinking about career pathways, employability skills, experiential learning, and even in other goal areas like attracting and retaining, this program kind of meets those goal areas and is a great focus for our district moving forward. I also want to commend the 3 teachers. It is very difficult to start up a program. And so these folks have not just been lesson planning and teaching their courses and working with students, but developing a program, a system of a program that can withstand the test of time is very much a challenge in its first year. So I want to thank them for not just being part of the program, but for developing the program as it begins.
Excellent, so thank you so much for sharing this information with us, and we're excited. And as you young ladies go off to college, don't forget about Francis Howell.
The 4 of you might want to talk to our Chief Human Resource Officer before you leave, or else she'll run you down the parking lot.
All right, thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda is the MSBA board report.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of February. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the development of the 6th version of the Missouri School Improvement Program. MSIP, as it's known, is the state's accreditation and accountability system for our public schools. It has been in existence since 1990 and is revised every 5 years or so. The State Board of Education approved the standards for MSIP 6 at its February meeting. MSBA Senior Director for Board Development, Janet Tilley, says it's important for school boards to be familiar with the standards and indicators included in MSIP 6.
The standards are going to be broader statements of what a board should do, broader statement of what a student should be able to do, what a district should be able to do. The indicators will give a more narrow focus, and they will provide sort of those stair steps of here's what you need to be doing in order to meet this particular standard.
The State Board of Education sought input on the standards and indicators in MSIP 6, and Tilley says MSBA submitted extensive comments, especially on the issue of how the standards will be measured.
Some of our comments then went a little bit deeper, and that we gave some suggestions to them of how they could rewrite some of the standards so that they were measurable with evidence or with a quantitative or qualitative kind of measure. And then some feedback also that included how you really define what is a success-ready student and a college and career-ready student.
The new MSIP 6 standards will take effect in 2 years. Until that time, the current MSIP 5 standards remain in place to allow districts to continue to prepare students and transition to the new MSIP 6 guidelines. There continues to be a lot of talk about the need to improve teacher salaries in Missouri. The minimum starting salary in our state is near the bottom of all states, and the average teacher salary remains well below the national average. During his State of the State address, Governor Parsons said teacher salaries in Missouri must be improved.
However, the solution cannot just be asking the state to write a bigger check. We're going to ask school districts, school boards, and DESE to propose a better plan and a bold plan for our teachers. Being an educator today is not an easy job. By supporting them, we also support our children, their futures, and the future of our state.
The State Board of Education has been considering a plan to raise teacher salaries, but at a cost of up to $400 million. House Bill 1990 would raise minimum teacher salaries by $1,000 per year for 7 consecutive years. MSBA continues to support salary and benefit levels that enable Missouri school districts to attract and retain high-quality teachers. There are several issues being considered in the current session of the General Assembly that are of great concern to MSBA and school board members throughout the state, including the expansion of charter schools beyond St. Louis and Kansas City, voucher and tax credit programs that would funnel taxpayer dollars to private schools, and a variety of property tax bills that have the potential to reduce the ability of school districts to generate local revenue. As the legislative session progresses, we will keep you updated on developments again this year through our Legislative Voice newsletter sent to members via email each Friday during the session, our Twitter feed with up-to-the-minute developments, through critical issue alerts, and periodic webinars. We urge you to stay in contact with your legislators during the session and communicate to them the impact legislation will have on your school district. The 2020 Early Childhood Education Program of the Year award applications are open through March 31st. Districts submitting applications will be judged on effective practices and innovative solutions in early childhood education, and 3 statewide winners will be announced based on student enrollment. The winning school districts are required to produce a short video on their program that will be shown at this year's MSBA annual conference. The Early Childhood Education Program of the Year award is sponsored by MSBA's foundation, Future Builders. Well, the best thing about MSBA's annual conference is you. Get your school team together and submit your presentation for a chance to present at this year's conference in Kansas City. More than 100 presentations by school districts are showcased at the conference and provide valuable information on successful programs. You can submit a proposal for a presentation at the 2020 annual conference through the MSBA website. The deadline for submitting a presentation proposal is March 31st. The annual conference this year is scheduled for September 24th through 27th in Kansas City. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
Okay. Board, next on our agenda is fiscal responsibility. I would entertain a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500 as presented. Motion made by Mrs. Walker, seconded by Mrs. Stickledge. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500, the line item for the frontline education as presented. Motion made by Mrs. Walker, seconded by Mrs. Lang. Any discussion? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries. One abstain. Mrs. Stickledge, would you like to state why you're abstaining?
I'm an employee of Frontline Education.
Great, thank you very much. Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 2020 financial report as presented. Motion made by Mr. Lane, seconded by Mrs. Lang. Mr. Supple?
Thank you, Mrs. Cope. I just wanted to point out one thing. I did mention it in the memo, but just for the benefit of those people who are here this evening, we did receive our financial institutions tax payment. And while it's still a healthy sum of $1.4 million, it is about $280,000 less than we budgeted. And it's almost $380,000 less than we received last year. So we've had a lot of conversation in prior years about the opaqueness of that revenue line item. And so we did take a little bit of a leap of faith this year and include an average of the past year's collections in our budget, and we've not met that goal. So just wanted to make sure that we're having that pointed out publicly as we have those conversations. I'm still glad that it's much higher than what we received in many years prior, but it did fall short of our expectations this year.
Thank you, Mr. Supple. Board, any questions? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Supple. All right, next on our agenda, Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve entering into an agreement with Ed Council to provide comprehensive legal services for the district effective March 1st, 2020, utilizing the monthly retainer option. Motion made by Mrs. Walker, seconded by Mr. Ain. Mr. Supple.
Thank you, Mrs. Cope. Late this afternoon, I did receive a draft of a contract from Ed Council. I've reviewed that, and they've incorporated some changes that I suggested. I was able to post that to board docs this afternoon, but board members may not have had a chance to see that, but there is a sample contract out there. It just outlines what's already been proposed within the briefing paper, so it doesn't change any of the parameters, but I wanted you to know that we are ready to move forward with a formal agreement with Ed Council.
Thank you, Mr. Supple. Board, any questions? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Board, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposal submitted from
Showalter and Jabouri.
what Kevin said. Audit services to the district for the 2019-2020 fiscal year with options to renew for the 2020-21 and 2021-22 fiscal years. Motion made by Mr. Haynes, seconded by Mr. Lane. Mr. Supple, anything to add on this one?
KEB has been our auditor for the past 12 years, but Showalter's bid was slightly less, and I think there is an advantage to having a new firm take a fresh look at the work that we're doing. So it's not a bad outcome for us to work with another very qualified firm that does a lot of school district audits, to be working with them for the next 3 years.
Great, thank you, Mr. Supple. Board, any questions? Mrs. Lane?
I have a question. I know over the last few months you've been speaking about doing additional audits. How does this switch over play into that?
I am currently in conversations with our current firm, KEB, for the second round of our agreed upon procedures audit. So we've identified areas for audit. We're trying to refine that scope. So we'll be bringing that information forward to the board in the coming months. So we're proceeding with them. I think once Showalter is on board, we'll have conversations with them if that is something that falls within their bailiwick, and we can continue to work in a similar capacity with Showalter. If that's something that they're not comfortable with, I'm sure KEB would be happy to continue to provide services to us for that agreed upon procedures, which is separate from the annual financial audit that's conducted.
Excellent. Any other questions, board? All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on our agenda, we do have a couple of policies up for the first reading. So please make sure you have the opportunity to take a look at those policies. Superintendent comments.
Yeah, before I start my comments, I'm going to ask Mr. Dykeman to provide some highlights to the board regarding an update on the Prop S educational campaign. I'm going to wait till you get some more water in your mouth.
Thank you, Dr. Hendricks-Harris. So as you can imagine, and as hopefully you saw on your way in, our Proposition S informational efforts are in full swing. Of course, the district website is one of the primary repositories for information. We have the Comprehensive Facilities Master Plan. All 400 pages of it are there if anybody really wants to dig down into it, as well as the Phase 1 and Phase 2 spending lists, the FAQ, which we've modified a couple times as people ask us questions that we haven't thought of before. We continue to add those. The informational flyer, which is sort of the base that the informational pyramid is built on. The official ballot language, we want people to have a chance to see that before they get to the ballot box. A series of informational articles, the PowerPoint, which is massive. We don't expect people to use all of it. We've provided our buildings with the PowerPoint and asked them to structure it how they need depending upon their audience and the time allowed. Unfortunately for the Cottleville Weldon Springs Chamber of Commerce, I will use the entire PowerPoint on them next month. And then we also have links to all of our informational videos. So our communications plan includes a weekly Proposition S story that's shared in all district communications channels as well as in building e-news. For this week, for example, it was the frequently asked questions story. We also have a weekly Prop S video that is building and or project specific, and to date, those videos have had almost 90,000 views on the district Facebook page, so getting a lot of exposure with those videos. We know that our staff and building administrators are critical to our informational efforts. It will help us reach more parents and more community members. It resonates differently for a lot of parents, if a principal, somebody they know and recognize, is delivering the information as opposed to a member of cabinet or the Board of Education. So we've tried to get them fully engaged in this effort, and we have provided them with a variety of materials in order to do that. And we've told them, have this conversation wherever and whenever possible. No meeting is too big or too small. And have provided them a variety of resources, including building-specific talking points. So principals want to know what's in it. Principals don't want to know. Some parents want to know what's in it for my building. And so the conversation is not only what's in it for my building, the conversation extends beyond that. It's what's in it for my feeder pattern. So if you have a kid, especially at one of our early childhood centers or one of our elementary schools, these are changes that could impact your child for a decade or more. So there are projects for the entire feeder pattern, and we are one district as well. So those have been provided to the principals, the FAQ, the videos, as well as Jenica has created a Proposition S playlist. So we've put all of our videos back to back to back, and you can play them on a loop, and many of our buildings have been doing this for the different events. It's a pretty entertaining loop that gets longer every week as we add videos. And then we've also created a principal or building level action plan. We know that our principals and building administrators are busy people, so as critical as they are to this effort, we want to simplify it as much as possible for them. So all they have to do is go down to today's date. What do I have to do? I have to repost something on social media. I have to make sure the story went in my building e-news, something relatively simple. And then we've also created a meeting tracking sheet because we want to get an idea of how big the reach is for a lot of these building level events, who the principals are talking to and when they're talking to them. We've also given them, as well as the board members, a Proposition S email signature. So a lot of people don't think about it, but our emails go out to lots of different people, and it's great to have that link there so people can find out more information if they're curious. Election guidelines for our staff, which are of course important. The primary tenet being don't use district resources to advocate, as well as folders full of logos and images for them to use. We're doing some different things this time that we haven't done in the past in order to try and reach our parents as well as our larger community. As much as we like to think that our parents are intrinsically engaged in these efforts, we know from our data that 2 years ago, Proposition Learn in April of 2018, that only 37% of our parents who are registered voters took the time to go to the polls and vote. So as much as we like to assume that they're with us and they know everything we know, we cannot assume that, and we have to make sure that they have all the information possible. And then of course the challenge for every school district, not just Francis Howell, is reaching our larger community. So if you don't have a kid in the district, how do you know what's going on in our schools? So we're doing some new things this time. Proposition S info poster, that's not new, but we have a 2-foot high version in the buildings of the flyer just for increased visibility. We've also created Proposition S poster images from the Comprehensive Facilities Master Plan. So the Facilities Master Plan doesn't have as many drawings as I would like. It would be great if we could show people this is what a new Francis Howell North will look like. We can't necessarily do that, but we can show them here's the footprint of where a new Francis Howell North might go on that campus. So we provided those building-specific images to those buildings in poster form to use in their conversations. We also created a couple of 9-foot-long Proposition S bus banners. So yay, we have our own buses this time that we haven't had in the past. So there is a bus parked on the North Campus and will be from now through Election Day that has a 9-foot-long Proposition S informational banner. And then another one will be on another bus that will rotate, spend a week at some of our schools that are getting the biggest projects. So a week at Becky David, a week at Fairmont, a week at Hollenbeck, Barnwell, et cetera, et cetera. And then the members of the Transportation Department will have a bus in the Collinville, Weldon Springs, St. Patrick's Day Parade, and that banner will be on both sides of that bus there as well. We have 4 digital billboards. Our friends in the HR department paid for a digital billboard. We do this through the Chamber of Commerce. They've had it for the last 10 months. I asked if I could borrow it for the next 2 months, and Lisa was kind enough to loan it to us. So it's a Proposition S informational electronic billboard Because I'm on the board for the chamber, they gave me the 3 blank spaces that they had. So we actually have 4 for the price of 1. So 2 of them on the electronic billboard that's on 364 by Harvester Church. And then the other one's actually on Highway 40, kind of by the soccer fields, right there by the movie theater. And some of our best ideas, I'll admit, aren't mine. So one of the students approached Dr. Hostetler and said, you know what would be really a great idea is Proposition S umbrellas for when it rains at Francis Howell North. And we can use, so I bought a dozen Proposition S umbrellas and distributed them to the administrators at Francis Howell North, so hopefully they'll get a lot of traction out of those. Informational yard signs. Again, this was an idea that came from a principal. Jill Eddig at Becky David said, you know, Matt, I got a lot of parents, sort of a captive audience and parent pickup line, 30, 45 minutes sometimes a day. If we could just put informational yard signs right there where they see them, it might help spark a conversation. And I said, absolutely. So they actually arrived today. You saw some of them outside. So we're providing informational yard signs. Tomorrow I'll be making rounds and going around all the buildings and making sure those are in high visibility locations. We're also creating, this was an idea from Jeanette Barker, and asked me about Proposition S ribbon that can attach to district name tag. So again, hopefully an opportunity to prime the pump and start those conversations with parents and community members. For the first time in the fall with our thought exchange around the bond issue, and currently HR is using it for their Meet FHSD event, is we're doing some digital advertising with DDI technology. So this is some really fun stuff. They can geo-fence the boundaries of the district, and they can target people who are registered voters. So for the 4 weeks leading up to Election Day, if you are on your computer, your laptop, your tablet, or your mobile device, some of the pop-up ads that you see in your favorite app, game, website, internet service provider will be Proposition S, and for more information, click here. So we're trying something different there as a digital effort to reach out to our larger community. We will, of course, do the usual things, have hard copy and website ads in some of our local publications, including Community News, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, and for the always tough to reach folks in New Melody and Defiance, the Boone Country Connection will also contain some of our information. And then we'll do some of the stuff we've done before. Of course, we'll have information in the next edition of The Connection. We'll have an informational postcard that goes out. We'll send another snail mail letter to staff as well as parents in the district. And we'll also send out a do not forget to vote message, school messenger message the day before the election. This time, instead of my voice or Mary's voice, we're actually going to ask the building principals to record that message and send it out to their school community and their staffs. So those are just a few of the things we're doing in terms of Proposition S information.
Way to hit the highlights.
I have more. I have the expanded list if you need it. So, any questions?
So I've adjusted some of my superintendent comments. The College Board has again honored Francis Howell with the placement on the 10th Annual AP District Honor Roll. Francis Howell is one of only 7 districts in Missouri and one of only 250 in North America to achieve this distinction. To be included in the honor roll, the district has to increase the number of students participating in the AP program, while also maintaining or increasing the percentage of students earning scores of 3 or higher on an AP exam. Reaching these goals indicates that Francis Howell is successfully identifying motivated, academically prepared students who are ready for AP. This is the 6th time that Francis Howell has been named to the prestigious list. District schools have announced the recipients of the Distinguished Honor of Teacher of the Year and Support Staff Employee of the Year. The winners will be announced and recognized at the annual Hall of Fame Award ceremony on May 4th. A Goal 1 action team is currently using Thought Exchange and asking for input from our parents, staff, and community members about what they want for our graduates and how we can best prepare them for life after high school. Thanks to all those for providing feedback. This is another example of our strategic plan in action. As the board knows, we've learned recently that Missouri's First Lady will be visiting us on March 4th to recognize our 3 schools which have earned the blue ribbon. We are finalizing the details. Finally, I want to provide some information about the superintendent transition. Dr. Hogan and I have decided to change our current after-school chat format in order to allow him time to seek input from staff. Many staff have taken advantage of this opportunity for the new superintendent to hear from them. I encourage all staff to attend these meetings to share their perceptions and to get to know Dr. Hoban. By the end of the year, Dr. Hoban will have given all staff a chance to be heard.
Excellent, thank you very much. Any Board of Education comments? Mr. Lane?
The board had the opportunity a week ago to go to legislative day. It's quite interesting, a little overwhelming my first time, but this is our third time that I've gone up there to visit. And those of you in the audience and ourselves, we need to really look and think deep about what they're saying about charter schools. They want to expand them, and the fear that I have is what most people have is they're not held to the same standards that the public schools are held to. So listen closely to what they're saying, and also about school vouchers. I know that Michelle, you were there, and she should piggyback on that. Go ahead.
So almost the whole board was there for legislative day with MSBA, and then I received a call where they had asked me to go and testify on a bill. So the bill was to put on the ballot to eliminate personal property taxes this November. So while that sounds like an amazing idea, and I hate paying personal property tax just like everybody else, they don't have a plan to replace those funds. So I had the opportunity to speak in opposition to that bill. And I would encourage all of you, as these issues keep coming up, we need to make sure that we are speaking out on these issues. Because if any of these things start to happen with school choice and the charters and those sorts of things, it's going to take funding away from the public schools. So just keep it on your radar, because there's a lot happening.
Thank you both. Any other board comments? All right, board, if we'll take a look at our upcoming meeting for March 12th. Any adjustments, additions? Okay. All right, let's take a look at our April 16th meeting. Any adjustments?
Will we be celebrating passing?
I hope so.
I think that will occur prior to the board meeting.
Prior to, okay.
All right. Board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Mrs. Walker, seconded by Mrs. Lane. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much.